Tuesday, April 12th. Welcome to class. That was me trying to be sane. Let's see, sorry. The desks are in a whole new arrangement and we're all adjusting to, who knows, something. Let's see, for you guys, we have a quiz coming up Friday, which will be the book through page 108. I am not reading the book with you through page 108 because we won't have time, and plus at some point you have to be a big kid and be able to read on your own. But we'll read a bunch of it, and we're going to hopefully get a chance to do a talkie thing today. The chairs may still be moving. I moved them already from first period as I was realizing I had kids who were facing that direction, and that was not a good idea because they spent the whole time just distracting other children. So that's why when you came in, some of the chairs didn't match exactly what it looked like up there because I'm in the process of learning. Today during best, well, 7th period ends early. Instead of at 3:30, 7th period is going to end at 3:15. And then you are going to go to your first period or whatever class you're supposed to take I Learn in. And then you'll be there for the last 40-some minutes. Bring iPad with you because you'll be doing I Learn thingy. And Tristan, do you know if they've taken care of the camp thing yet? Alright, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. And then I'm more than happy to try and get things figured out and get you in. So just let me know what I can do.
Dylan, you definitely laughed at that. You're probably not. Girl, what?
Exactly, this is all true.
What?
They're talking about Gandhi.
Me either, it's okay, keep going. Hi, welcome back again. So from there, if you don't want to read on your own again, we have the whole audiobook thing to help you out. This is really weird to sit on, it's so awkward. Alright, let's see, from where we left off yesterday, we now know that Josh guy is the Larry guy. What else did I leave up there? We have a picture thing, Humpty Dumpty, which... with the thing that Catherine is addicted to. We found out that eBay has been around forever. We did Magic 8-Ball because that's where he was going to find out what Beth thought about him. And we've not, I think we just got to the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
And that's where we left off, was the Three Stooges part, because they were talking about that. And you guys have seen the Three Stooges at some point. Hopefully. Have you guys seen the Three Stooges?
I've seen 2 of them.
I have.
At some point, hopefully you get a chance to see. And the one with the curly hair.
No, the curly.
So, I mean, the fact that you have the one with the curly hair, who is not named Curly, the one who's bald, who is named Curly, and then Curly eventually leaves, and then a new guy comes in named Shimp, and then we have a new one too. But anyway, back to you guys. Ish.
My favorite is Mo.
He was the leader.
Are we ever going to watch it in class?
The Three Stooges? Possibly. I can try to find some clips. That's not a problem. Let's see, we ended on page 50 when we're going, oh yeah, I get to do my voices again. We are partway down where Carter wants to talk about my voices. Hi, Carter.
Where's the hand punch?
Yeah, I got rid of it after I had to charge you points for finding them all over my room yesterday. No, you did not, because all throughout the day, I had kids in this area going, why are there little hands all around your room? And so every time a kid brought it up, it went back to torturing
Somebody
Carter.
must have wiped them off their desk.
Yeah.
Onto the floor.
I did.
I wonder how she got them. Bowen?
I got some
I got
advice
them
for
from
your
you.
voice.
Uh-huh.
Did you throw it away?
So when you're talking, make sure you try to breathe out like a bit more air than usual. It'll make you sound more jockey.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like that.
As we passed the gym, I heard a grunt that pounded my heart like a stone. Beth unhooked her arm from mine, then wheeled around to face Todd. I thought you had practice. It's canceled. That feels so weird. I can't do that one. It's canceled. The coach ate some bad fish for lunch. Speaking of bad fish, I stared at his jacket so I wouldn't have to look at his face. He should have been nicknamed the Wizard instead of me, because Beth's personality and voice changed right before my eyes. Oh no! I hope he's okay. I shot her a look that bordered on contempt. She elbowed me back, hard. My mom's still at work. You want to come over? Somehow I knew I wasn't included in the invitation. Yeah, I think that's doable. I pulled Beth aside. I thought you were over him? I half whispered, half shouted. Look, I feel bad about this. I do. But I've got to keep my options open. And with that, Beth slammed the door on the elaborate fantasy I had already constructed in my feeble mind. Even worse, the idea never occurred to Todd that I might possibly be considered a threat. I was as hazardous to his position as a flea. I got back in her face. The big picture. Yeah, right. What's your problem? Can't we work on this tomorrow? I told her tomorrow I was working on my Frisbee robotics project. We'll definitely reschedule. She waved goodbye in front of Todd, who still hadn't noticed my presence. Footnote, if his face were any blanker, you could show movies on it. How can you do this to me? He's boring, and I'm... But I knew the word Larry would never emerge from my lips. The sad thing was, even Larry couldn't compare to the hormonal tug of Todd Terrific. I looked up toward the heavens, or at least to the stained ceiling tile of the hall. Mom, this sucks. No. And I stood there until I knew what I needed to do. Then I ran. By the way, the name Todd Terrific, do you remember what literary term that's an example of?
Literary
Just checking. Good job. I usually wrote my sermon. Oh, by the way, one of the assignments you're going to have coming up, where it says there the gospel thing, you're going to be creating your list of 75 items that you are going to theoretically be able to limit yourself to. And then you're going to be posting it to a website for other people to read, and then you get to comment on other people's lists. So we're going to sort of create our own little Larry site for you guys to go on and post things. You don't actually have to limit yourself to 75 things. It'll just be a hypothetical listing of things. But I'll introduce that to you guys tomorrow. We'll go through and talk about it. The last assignment you're going to do is going to require you to create your own sermon. You get to go and online, you're going to go on and complain about whatever you want, and you get to go on your own ranty thing, and you get to pick whatever it is that annoys you that you get to sort of attack. Bowen.
So does a six-pack of specifically mug root beer
Count as one thing, but food does not count anyway. Okay.
So if I had a steak in a mug root beer, that would be
Kaiser.
2 things, even though some
You said you can comment on other people's things on the website.
Correct.
How much trouble would I get in
It's for a grade.
if I...
Two of them are.
I'm not talking about the grade part.
Okay.
How much trouble would I get in
Uh-huh.
if I were to say, mock people's choices through the comments?
Only one way to find out.
Yeah, I'm asking.
Yeah, no, that's not the way to find out. That's silly. That's not the scientific process at all. Scientists don't just ask, you do, and then you find out.
Okay.
Well, they add-
Carter.
How long is the state measure?
I don't know. That's why there's little numbers on it.
Maximum, like.
Figure it out.
I usually wrote my sermons sitting on the swing in my basement, but this called for a whole new level of solitude. I rode my bike past the stores, past the theater, toward the nature preserve behind the cemetery, until I got my all-terrain bike. I used to leave my bike at the top of the trail and hike in. Footnote, possession number 54. I had to sell my guitar to get it. I know. Now I bounced over roots and rocks with ease. I have only an hour and a half of daylight, but with this much adrenaline pulsing through me, that was all the time I'd need. I pulled my bike up against a cluster of maples and hiked about half a mile. The trail disappeared, and I crawled through the brambles until I reached the familiar birch and woodpile. I brushed the leaves aside, moved the tarp, and descended into the large hole. My underground room measured 10 by 12 paces, pretty much the size of my bedroom at home. From top to bottom, it was 7 feet. A few years ago, it had taken me a month of afternoons and Saturdays to dig it. Since then, I came once a week to think, or unthink, as the case may be. I folded my blanket into quarters and sat down on the thawing earth. I took the fully charged laptop from my pack, and began. Sermon number 113. Okay, this sermon is off the usual topic, but I've got to write about it anyway. Can we talk about phonies? About people who pretend they're your best friend? No. They are your best friend until somebody better comes along. People climbing their way up the social ladder are just as bad as people climbing their way up the corporate one, moving from one clique to another, checking out the people on the next rung, working their way up like freaking caterpillars until one day, poof, they leave one rung for good onto bigger and better things. Then they get rejected in the new clique, of course, and come slithering back to their friends on the lower rung. And you're supposed to sit there like some dope guarding seats at a concert, never realizing your friends found a better section and left you behind. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of welcoming the same old people back into the fold. Hey, once you make the choice to move on, move on. Don't come back when your new friends leave. Don't come back when somebody breaks up with you. Don't come back when you want to feel like yourself again because you're tired of spending all that energy trying to act like somebody you're not, and you just want to be accepted by people who always like the real you. Tired of keeping up the front, of being some witty, gorgeous, happy, considerate person you're not? Tired of waiting for your new friends to appreciate your inner self? Well, too bad. Take 2 aspirin and don't call me in the morning. That felt better. As much as I wanted to, I knew I couldn't send it out right away. Beth would never in a million years suspect that I was Larry, but still, the timing of this one was a tad obvious. I'd save it and email it later. Let Beth think she was safe from Larry's gaze for a few brief moments. I made a list of some upcoming topics: National Anti-Shopping Day, corporate boycotts, celebrity worship. I snapped my PC shut, took a few deep breaths. If I sat in this pit for the rest of my life, I could never get enough of the damp earth smell. It was the mixture of life and death that attracted me, nature's primordial scent. I climbed out, covered my hideout, and stood in tree pose among the maples. It was almost twilight, my favorite time of day. As a kid, I was addicted to Game Boys. My fingers punched those buttons day and night. I loved the mental and visual stimulation. It's strange, but the opposite was also true. I loved the silence, the openness of the forest. I felt humbled by its weight, and the thought of uttering anything seemed ridiculously unnecessary. Every time I came here, the same thought returned. Live here, keep spreading the word, be a hermit, escape from the crap, from the stuff, from the phonies. Could a culture junkie like me disconnect from civilization and still live? Thoreau did. Could I? I lay back against the tree. Luckily, I didn't have to decide today. Larry items number 14 and number 32. Do you guys know who that is?
Watch.
Not the watch, but yes, it is a watch. I think it's Ganesh. If I remember right. I think it's a Hindu god.
That's a watch.
I know. Well, Hindus worship watches. They like time. Yes.
So, he said that he wouldn't do anything that could reveal his location,
Correct.
even though he has pictures of a window which goes outside where you can tell what continent you're on because of the grass and the trees and the way the sun is facing. If you analyze the picture close enough and it wasn't on a book.
Part of what you also have to realize is this was back in the late 1990s, like 99, and their picture quality was not strong enough for you to go enhance, enhance, enhance. It'd be like enhance, blurry. All right, unenhance, still blurry. And you're like, obviously he's in Chicago, and so that's
You
not.
can still tell if he was in Africa or in the Saharan desert or
True.
Who lives in the Saharan Desert? Help.
Do you see any grass in the photo?
I know, and you could look at the watch and you could know what time he posted.
So there's trees.
There's a tree? How do you know
No, there's not.
See, look, the Larry game has already begun. Carter's trying to figure out where he is. He's like, it could be. Where was the picture?
I see it.
I think if you look in the reflection of Ganesh on the side of Ganesh's face, you're going to see someone looking very silly. But I could be wrong. Oh, let's jump to this. Actually, that brings me to this. I have questions for you. I figure this is a good enough place to stop for a second. What are your thoughts on Josh as a person?
Bad cringe.
I mean, at the time, when all this was happening, he was a dorky kid, and then a thing will happen that we'll get to. But I just sort of, as a person, what you think of him? Yeah.
I think that he's kind of angry at like everything that's happening, so it's making him be like everything's terrible. Like, why is everyone like this?
Yeah.
That's why he like writes stuff like that.
And I mean, then again, we find out his dad was an alcoholic that abandoned him when he was a kid,
Yeah,
and then
it's like
his
he
mom
has-
dies of cancer. So
Yeah, he has every right to be angry, but just the way he like, he's just so mad at everything.
there's definitely some negativity in him. I would agree with on that one. Sam?
I thought he was fine until that last sermon where he's like, "Oh, people just keep using you to climb the social ladders."
Well, he
Right.
is a boy with a crush, and his crush just ditched him for a jock. So I think there might be some pent-up angry bits in there.
Exactly.
But before that, you were good with him, and now the fact that he's a jealous boy, we're writing him off?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking on that one. Then, what are your guys' thoughts on Beth?
Oh.
Her name's Beth, so I mean,
So this is where we're going to come back to this one because there's going to be some things that happen with Beth
Oh no.
that I'm going to be curious to sort of see. Let's go back up to this one. Starting with Josh, by show of hands, I just want to know, do you think Josh, your opinion of him, good person, not good person?
there's
So let's go with, and then for those of you who are wishy-washy, we can come back to you, but those of you who have a strong opinion, say, Josh, I think at heart, he's a good person. All right. Those of you say at heart, not fond of him. And those of you who are wishy-washy and can't make decisions. All right. Let's go with Beth. I mean, we'll do the same thing. Good person, bad person. All right, you guys say Beth, good person. All right. And Beth, bad person. And then Beth, I'm wishy-washy and I have no ability to make it. All right. Just. And so there will be things that come up that will be interested. And I'm not going to say whether it pushes good or bad because some of you guys are going to agree with what Beth does, and some of you guys are going to disagree with what Beth does. And so I'll be interested to see those of you who are wishy-washy if you unwish-wash.
official prediction.
Do you guys think if something like, does something like, because now we have things like TikTok, and we have people who do anonymous TikToks all the time. And so the same thing with Instagram. I've seen the fact that there's, anonymous Instagrams out there. Would kids rally behind something like this, or did it only exist because it was like the very first one?
No, they definitely would.
Bowen?
I don't think anyone would know about this because everyone only uses TikTok and Instagram. Like these-
True, but I think that's because TikTok and Instagram didn't exist, and I think he would, it'd be tough, I don't know. Because TikTok is such a verbal medium where he wants to stay anonymous. I don't think it'd be easy for him to stay anonymous on TikTok as well.
Yeah,
I mean, are there anonymous TikTokers?
Yep.
I know, that's what I thought. But are they usually people like wearing a mask and then doing
Yeah,
it?
you can just make that. So,
I guess you could. I don't follow my TikTok page doesn't have as many of those on there. Huh. Ryan?
I think that kids would follow it because it's aimed towards teenagers and it's things that teenagers understand and are going through. So for somebody to like actually speak about that and be popular, I think a lot of kids like would agree with it.
Oh, I could roll with that. Taylor?
I agree with Ryan, but it's like, I remember a couple of years ago, there was this really popular guy on Instagram, I think, and he it was really weird, like everyone's like obsessed with him because he could tell people's like futures, so it was like, okay, so he could like tell their future, but also tell their past and where they live, so that's why everyone had this fascination with like, who is this guy? And that's why people are like,
So he
obsessed
was
with
anonymous on there, but you would like
Yeah.
send him. Like, did he just pick random people, or how did he pick
There's
the
a
people?
guy on TikTok that
they
does
would
that.
like DM him.
Oh,
or something,
okay.
And then he'd be like, this is how your whole life has been, this is where you live now, and then this is how your life is gonna end up. And everyone was like freaking out.
Interesting. All right. Sam?
A lot of anonymous people get popular on the internet now, so I think that this happened modern day could work, and also minimalism's pretty popular.
Would be part of it.
So.
And what I realized too is back when he got popular with this, there weren't a lot of websites aimed at kids. Whereas nowadays you guys can find TikTok, where the fact is you can find all of these things that you have interest in. But back when he was doing this, there was nothing out there that attracted teenagers. And so the fact that he was that first online rebellious teenager, sort of like fighting against the system, I think that's what brought people in. Do you guys have predictions on what Josh did next? I mean, given it's the past, and I'm guessing you guys have no idea, but Bowen,
I think he dies.
why dies?
Because we haven't had anyone dying yet, and you said at the beginning that someone dies, kind of. And I really want someone to die.
Now, also remember, how did the story begin?
With-
Everyone will know you're alive.
Yeah.
So that does
Dead.
gives you a little hint to thing that happened into it. So,
Maybe Beth goes into.
Nikki,
I don't have like the exact prediction. I feel like
he's gonna what, Beth?
I feel like something will like happen between Josh and Beth.
Oh, yeah, I can see the thing happening between Josh and Beth. Interesting. Thanks, we haven't gotten to Data Gold yet. We take Data Gold off there. We're gonna find out about Data Gold in a moment. Every good story needs a bad guy.
I thought that was Josh.
No, Josh is not the bad guy.
Josh is dead.
Yes.
Larry.
2 days lived, page 59, with the picture of a watch and apparently a window, so Carter knows where he is. 2 days later, I attended Beth's piano recital, all Bach. Even more than the music, I loved the way she grinned through her mistakes. Not nervous like the other musicians, just ecstatic at being able to make music, flaws and all. On the ride home, we complained about the college application process, especially the essays. You need a crystal ball to answer them, she said. Everyone says just to make stuff up, but I can't. You know how I feel about being honest. I slumped back into the seat and changed the subject. But when I saw her the next day, she was at my back door waving a piece of paper. Her cheeks were flushed as if she'd just heard bad news. Have you read today's sermon? I grabbed the paper from her hand. With her concert, I'd forgotten all about my rant in the woods. I asked her why it upset her so much. It's me! It's the other day with Todd. I was so insensitive, and all he wanted to do was fool around anyway. You can't possibly be surprised. The only thing I'm surprised at is what a glutton for punishment I am. Such a loser. She looked me straight in the eye. Feel free to stop me any time. I motioned for her to continue. Are you sure you didn't call Larry up and ask him to write this? She said. It's so appropriate, it's scary. I almost dropped the glass of seltzer in my hand. Yeah, he said. No problem, Josh. I'll get right on it. She asked me if I'd seen Larry's latest possession. It's a man's watch, but women wear them all the time. At least my mother does. Maybe your mom is Larry. Yeah, right. In a statue of some Hindu deity. I looked it up. Ganesh. Yeah, I saw it this morning. I felt a wave of anxiety break inside me. The statue had belonged to my mom. I kept it wrapped in my closet. The only reason I posted it so soon was because Beth had never seen it. Then maybe you saw this too? Beth handed me another piece of paper and thankfully changed the subject. The printout also came from the Larry site, copied from one of the bulletin boards. Come out, wherever you are, Larry. Why are you hiding behind your anonymous screen name? Who are you? Afraid no one would listen if we all knew what a loser you were? Beta Gold. Now, I'd read messages from Beta Gold before. He/she actually wrote/shouted in quite often, but never with this amount of confrontation. What does this have to do with us? I asked. Well, hopefully the nut jobs aren't going to start coming out of the woodwork. I mean, can Larry have some peace? Do you mind? I took a new jar of peanut butter from the cupboard and cut up some apples from the bowl on the table. Beta Gold's message was certainly disconcerting. The last thing I needed was to blow my cover in front of Beth. I handed her the peanut butter and a spoon. She dipped the spoon into the virgin jar. Like being the first person to walk in the snow, she said. I've always fought to be the first person to nail a new jar of Jif, but it was worth giving up just to watch Beth lick the spoon clean. Now, that got weird. What the heck?
Oh, that's so weird.
Again, I didn't write this one. Apparently, teenagers are sometimes kind of creepy and awkward.
No, not like that.
Isn't this Sam, you can't say anything.
I've never been like, yes, Nick.
What's that?
Everything actually happened. Dude.
Yeah. What? Are you shocked about the fact that sometimes teenagers are creepy and awkward?
No, I just like forgot that it was real.
Like he was a real person that did real things? Yeah. And was real awkward and real creepy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll stop with that awkward, creepy bit. Because that's like the best awkward, creepy bit. And we have now introduced Beta Gold.
Oh, that's the bad guy.
What? I never said that.
Not like he said Sorry, it just clicked. It clicked. My brain's thinking.
Yes. Beta Gold is also going to prove an interesting person.